We begin this Friday morning in Washington, where we are just hours away from a potential government shutdown. This comes after the House rejected a stopgap bill last night in a 235 to 174 vote. 38 Republicans voted against the bill, which would have kept the government funded temporarily. That bill included modifications after President-elect Trump and Elon Musk sunk an earlier bill and called for a debt ceiling increase. House Democrats, led by Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, are planning to meet this morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, to discuss government funding and next steps. House Speaker Republican Mike Johnson spoke after the vote last night. He put the blame on Democrats.
Very disappointing to us that all but two Democrats voted against aid to farmers and ranchers, against disaster relief, against all these bipartisan measures that had already been negotiated and decided upon. Again, the only difference on this legislation was that we would push the debt ceiling to January of 2027. We will regroup and we will come up with another solution, so stay tuned.
NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ali Vitale joins us now with the latest. Ali, good morning. Let's talk about last night's vote, where dozens of Republicans rejected this new bill, even after it had the endorsement from President-elect Trump. Walk us through what led to the legislation getting voted down. I mean, you heard J.D. Vance and Speaker Johnson blaming Democrats, but what's the story here?
That's a tough sell, especially given the way that Republicans had a bipartisan deal that they negotiated in tandem with Democrats. And then Elon Musk and President-elect Trump came in and said that's not good enough and tanked it. That's why we're in this position right now of watching Congress, and specifically House Republicans, go back to the drawing board this morning with no clear path, at least not one that they've established, that will get them to avert a government shutdown and then also do the things that Musk and Trump said that they wanted them to do. Specifically, when you hear Speaker Johnson there say, well, this is the same bipartisan deal except for one little thing called the debt ceiling, that is not one small thing. It is a huge negotiation. And it's actually a big part of why you saw 38 Republicans vote against the wishes of not just their own Republican leadership in the House, but also that of the president-elect and the leader of their party. Nevertheless, this is what you hear Speaker Johnson saying, which is that it's at the feet of Democrats, even though Democrats are saying this one's not on us. Watch.
I want you all to remember that it was just last spring that the same Democrats berated Republicans and said that it was irresponsible to hold the debt limit, the debt ceiling, hostage. What changed? It is, I think, really irresponsible for us to risk a shutdown over these issues.
The Musk-Johnson proposal is not serious. It's laughable. Extreme MAGA Republicans are driving us to a government shutdown.
And part of the reason that Democrats are holding this hard line, at least at this point, is because they feel like they negotiated with Republicans and with Mike Johnson in good faith. It's usually the case that funding deals like these have to be done in bipartisan fashion because there's always a pretty sizable cluster of conservative Republicans that will never vote for legislation that just simply continues to fund the government. That's why Republicans look to Democrats, especially with the margins as they are. But if Democrats are now finding that the Republicans they're negotiating with aren't good faith negotiators, they're pulling back from the table. And that's why you see the posture now as it is, which is Democrats saying, you break it, you buy it. Now you've got to fix it yourself. And that's where we end at this impasse where Republicans can't get themselves into a government funding situation on their own, but they also don't have a plan to include Democrats at this point. It's a very, very tricky one, and it leads to the prospect of a likely government shutdown for the holidays.
And a big player in this is someone who is not in Congress. Elon Musk, he's going to join the Trump administration to try to cut government spending, right? He's heavily involved with what's happening on Capitol Hill. Talk to me about the influence he is having on these proceedings and on the president-elect. It looked as though the president-elect was endorsing an earlier version of a deal until Musk was tweeting against it.
Yeah, and Christine, you know this because you've covered the so-called DOGE efforts in their early phases. It's an advisory committee. It's not an official government entity, and Musk is certainly far from someone who's been an elected member of this administration. Nevertheless, he's way out in front and arguably leading the charge on what the government funding effort should look like. So you're either in a situation where Trump was apprised of all of these negotiations, on board with the plan that the speaker brokered behind the scenes, and then ultimately got pressured into it by one of his closest allies to tank the deal, Or Trump was not involved in these negotiations, got tuned in at the 11th hour, realized he didn't like what he was seeing, and then tanked the deal. Either way, it makes a really difficult case for how governing is going to go for at least the next 2 years. Technically, Republicans control all three branches of Congress when they come back in January, but we're seeing in practice why that's still very difficult.
It's the irony, too, is if you're talking about cutting unnecessary spending, there is nothing more unnecessary than the taxpayer spending. The cost, there's always a cost to a shutdown.
Including the debt ceiling raising.
Exactly. Okay, so we understand that the White House, they're keeping close contact with Democratic leaders on the Hill. This is according to sources familiar with the discussions. What more can you tell us about that?
Of course they are. But at the same time, it is really striking that President Biden is the president and yet has not weighed in on where these negotiations are. President-elect Trump, of course, has put his stamp all over this. And that's really why when you head into January, Trump is trying to set himself up for an easy glide path to doing the things that he wants to do when he actually gets into office in January. Raising the debt ceiling to him is part of that. It takes away a leverage point in negotiations with Democrats. Fine. That's certainly something I've heard in my conversations with sources. But I do think it's important for us to underscore the fact that President Biden has largely been absent both from these conversations and as far as we've heard on Capitol Hill. They might be monitoring. Of course they are. That makes a lot of sense. Democrats still control the Senate, and we're watching Hakeem Jeffries begin the early jockeying here of how he's going to handle being in a minority, even by a slight margin. But still, it seems to be Hill Democrats that are leading the charge here, not the other side of Pennsylvania Avenue.
So interesting. All right, Allie, thank you so much. Meanwhile, as lawmakers fight over government funding, two members of the Senate are coming together this weekend on Meet the Press to talk about restoring bipartisanship. Here's moderator Kristen Welker with a preview.
Coming up this Sunday on Meet the Press, a bipartisan conversation with Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock and Republican Senator James Lankford on bridging the divide between their parties. Do you all have conversations about how you can restore bipartisanship? Are those conversations happening?
We have differences of opinion, but the issue is our humanity and trying to build and strengthen the American family. That's the spirit with which I come to this work. It's informed by my years as a pastor. I still lead my church. And I'm deeply honored to work with Senator Lankford. And this week and in recent days, we've been trying to think about ways we can do more work together.
I really don't think of this as bipartisan work. This is just American work. Most people don't think of themselves first as Republican, Democrat, Independent. They think of them first as just human beings and neighbors and people that work and in families. And so really what we're talking about is how do people who disagree sit down and figure it out? That's where we are.
You can see my full interview on Meet the Press this Sunday. You can also get more Meet the Press right here on NBC News Now every weekday at 4 p.m.
All right, Kristen, thank you so much. This morning, Luigi Mangion is waking up in a New York City prison as a jail as the case against him ramps up. The 26-year-old accused of killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson now facing multiple federal charges. A complaint released yesterday revealed that he could potentially get the death penalty. He has not yet entered a plea for the federal charges or the New York State charges. NBC News correspondent Priscilla Thompson joins me now with the latest. Good morning. So nice to see you. Thanks for covering this for us. Okay, he waived his extradition hearing in Pennsylvania yesterday. So walk us through what happened yesterday.
Yeah, so this all happened very quickly in Pennsylvania yesterday. That extradition hearing was less than 5 minutes before he was handed over to the NYPD into their custody. We saw him board that plane in Pennsylvania in that orange jumpsuit, and then he arrived here in New York City where he faced a judge in federal court, and it was revealed those 4 counts that he was going to be facing, including 2 counts of stalking, which we now know from the federal complaint they believe or they're alleging that he really tracked the victim here, Brian Thompson, that he surveilled him and that he went to great lengths to identify him. So that's where we get those stalking charges from. And he's also looking at 1 count of a firearms offense and also 1 count of murder through use of a firearm, which, as you noted, could bring the death penalty.
And there are 11 state charges. How do the new federal charges interact or conflict or augment those state charges?
Yeah, that was a big question yesterday. And what we heard the Manhattan District Attorney come out and say and clarify is that they are working with federal investigators on timing and logistics, but that their case is going to go first. And he is looking at those 11 counts. So first-degree murder and furtherance of terrorism, 2 counts of second-degree murder, along with criminal possession of a weapon and forged instrument, among others. And so the Manhattan DA saying, though, that their case will go to trial first, even though he appeared in federal court first. 1st yesterday.
When can we expect to hear what his plea will be for these two, in both of these cases?
Yeah, so he'll be back in federal court in mid-January, and no word yet on when he's going to be arraigned in a Manhattan court. But we did hear his attorney, Karen Friedman-Agnifilo, yesterday talking about these charges, and she said this is highly unusual for these cases to be coming the way that they are. She said that the murder charges are in conflict, that you have the feds alleging that there was stalking, and meanwhile you have the Manhattan DA saying that this was in furtherance of terrorism. So she was seeking clarity on all of this, whether it's two different investigations, whether it's one. And so a lot of questions there. But she said whatever charges come in whatever court, they are prepared to fight them.
And then what about, there are cases in Pennsylvania too?
Yes, there are also charges in Pennsylvania. He's looking at some weapons charges, some charges around forgery and the fake ID that he had with him. And the Pennsylvania district attorney yesterday was very clear that they are they will remain an active investigation. But right now, the charges in New York and the federal charges will take precedent.
All right, Priscilla Thompson, thank you so much. Nice to see you today.
Yeah.
All right, now to the labor dispute at Amazon. If you've ordered something on holiday gifts, maybe from the online retail giant, you're going to want to tune into this here. Workers are demonstrating at Amazon facilities in at least 4 states, and it could maybe delay the delivery of packages in some major cities right before the holidays. NBC News correspondent Priya Shrithar went to Alpharetta, Georgia, to find out why some warehouse workers and delivery drivers have teamed up with a union to try to bring Amazon to the bargaining table. Priya, good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, the Teamsters are calling this a historic strike, saying that 10,000 Amazon workers walked off the job and onto the picket lines yesterday, which, by the way, represents less than 1% of the 1.5 million people who work for the retail giant. They're saying that these workers want better pay and better benefits, and that Amazon missed a December 15th deadline to negotiate the union's first labor contract. But now Amazon is firing back, saying that most of these people aren't even their employees and that none of this is having an impact on their operations. I can tell you that at least here in the Alpharetta, Georgia facility, at its peak, there were about 25 demonstrators yesterday, and most of them did admit to me that they don't work directly for Amazon, but for third-party contractors. They said that they're willing to strike for as long as it takes to get better pay.
All right, Priya Shrithar, thank you so much for that. All right, to the weather now. Rain and snow showers could affect your holiday travel this weekend. NBC meteorologist Angie Lassman keeping an eye on where to expect delays. Angie, good morning. Give it to us.
Good morning, Christine. The dreaded delays because of weather. We do not want them during the holiday week, especially when we're kind of rushing all of those extra tasks to completion. And there's a couple of spots that you're going to want to watch for: slick roads and potentially air travel delays. Here's what's going on. We've got 14 million people under winter alerts. If you've been paying attention since yesterday, a lot of these alerts have come down. So we're seeing some improvements, but we are still going to see kind of a busy forecast across parts of the Great Lakes and the Northeast today, but there will be improvements on the backside of that. Here's what we're dealing with in the meantime. As we get through the later parts of today, some of that snow works into the interior portions of the Northeast. It's going to be slick. It's going to be a little bit of a slower go. Places like Cleveland, Buffalo, Burlington, even stretching closer to the coast, we'll see some of that rain, although most of the heavy precipitation is going to sit offshore with that system. So that's definitely a positive, but still some slower goes when it comes to this kind of iffy weather across this region for today. Tomorrow, look at how much we've improved, though. We've still got these really kind of bitter cold winds coming off the lake. So lake effect snow still going to be in the picture, just not as substantial as what we've had in the past couple of weeks and what we're dealing with through the day today. Big picture look for your holiday forecast when it comes to travel. Most of the country actually looks pretty good. Yes, we've got that snow and a bit of rain that I mentioned, but mostly everywhere else we're dealing with dry skies. So it's not going to be a big kind of day as far as travel delays weather-wise for the rest of the country. LA, Denver, Chicago might be a little iffy, but even south towards New Orleans, lots of sunshine and lots of dry skies. As we get into Saturday, things really wind down for most of the east. The middle of the country, you stay fairly quiet. It's kind of warm for parts of the Southwest. It'll be bitter cold across parts of the Great Lakes, and that's going to be a big difference maker for, of course, packing and preparing if you're traveling. But the snow showers are really the only thing we'll have to worry about for the east on Saturday. The west, though, starts to ramp up. We get this atmospheric river event kind of going. That means heavy rain, and of course the delays will be likely. Seattle, Portland, San Francisco all have that potential for your Saturday and unfortunately your Sunday, although Sunday looks to be a little bit of an improvement there. But the rest of the country, once again, we've got a lot of sunshine. This is ideal for some Sunday travel. We will, however, see that cold air kind of settle in across the Great Lakes and the Midwest. It'll feel very December-like for sure. Here's a look at those temperatures right now. 18 degrees 30s in Minneapolis is what we're going to see this afternoon. 60s in Denver. So we're still running way warm across parts of the Southwest. 80 degrees for Phoenix. A different story for tomorrow as that cold sinks south into parts of the Great Lakes, the Northeast. 20s, 30s. It'll feel chillier than that. Minneapolis peaks at 20 degrees tomorrow. So bundle up. You'll want those extra layers. And then we really see temperatures kind of bottom out as we round out the weekend. And then by next week, New York City, we go from the 30s on Monday, which will be quite brisk, to the upper 30s on Tuesday. A bit of a roller coaster ride when it comes to that, but we will take it. Now, if you're wondering where we will see a white Christmas, some places going to have to keep dreaming. Here's the areas that I think are more likely. You can see places like Jackson Hole, of course, Lake Tahoe, typical, parts of the northern plains. We'll see maybe some of these Pacific storms dump some snow for folks in the Pacific Northwest. But places like Minneapolis, Green Bay, you're going to see a likely white Christmas. Detroit, quite possible. That's where I'll be for Christmas. New York, possible, but unlikely for Washington, D.C. You're going to have to keep dreaming in Indianapolis and St. Louis. Snow, though, for the upper Midwest and upstate New York and northern New England. So there's your little bit of, I don't know, positive news. I know people want a white Christmas, and it's been...
I love your Christmas tree code.
Unlikely,
like that?
likely,
Very scientific.
possible.
I love it. Very well done.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.